Here is the reality. If you own a television, air conditioner, and washing machine, you are in the top 16% of this country. If you own a car, you are in the top 7.5% of this country. That's right. Those growing up in English-speaking, Tier 1 Westernized India cannot comprehend the sheer pressure and struggle facing the rest of the country. Nor could the kid in Tier 3 Bharat, growing up playing PUBG, or BGMI now, comprehend the opportunity, privilege, and exposure kids in places like Bangalore have. The social gaps in India are immense. There was never a proper way to quantify these economic differences until now. Introducing the Blume Consumer Stack. Blume is a venture capital firm, essentially a company that invests in startups, but they also do some research. In this report, they divided Bharat into 3.5 quadrants. This half is really interesting. We'll get into it later. Now, let's get into the consumer stacks, starting with India 3. The forgotten majority. They are the farmers, stall owners, security guards, and most domestic servants who migrate from villages come from this strata of society. These are people that watch the latest mass blockbusters in single-screen theaters, value their land as much as they value life, and they place their faith in God higher than any other social strata. Socioeconomically, they are similar to most of Africa, excluding South and Northern Africa. They are over 1 billion, yet have similar economic value as that of the top 115 million. You heard that right. About $1.8 trillion total of economic value. The digital products they use are almost negligible, consisting of apps like TikTok knockoffs, shady loan apps, and betting apps. But they do use some legitimate apps as well, but it's really negligible. Unfortunately, this bracket of society is most prone to falling for predatory and fraudulent schemes. As mentioned, most shady gambling and scam loan apps target this strata of society. They don't have access to good public education, healthcare, or other public services either. These are people with little to no spending power, and most startups consider them unmonetizable. Their income goes almost exclusively to fulfill their needs, and very negligible amounts of money goes to leisure spending. Only companies selling very cheap consumer goods can survive in this market. For example, Balaji Wafers, Ghadi detergent, and next up, we have India 2, the aspiring class. These are people for whom eating out at Domino's or going to a PVR cinema is a huge deal. They can speak English but aren't comfortable with the language.
Just read the sentence, Ishan.
ये तो नाच रहे.
Silence. Speak in English.
The letters are dancing.
They play video games like PUBG, own Activas, buy their groceries at subji markets or kirana shops, and they send their kids to CBSE private schools, pretty corrupt ones at that, and are often enrolled into coaching centers to crack entrance exams like the JEE, NEET, and the UPSCs. These are kids who religiously practice rattafication, the art of content memorization. Academic pressure is really high on these kids, and despite a certain degree of westernization, many traditional social norms are followed. These people are considered occasional transactors. They produce about $300 billion of GDP with about 100 million people. Only a few companies at scale target this demographic, such as Flipkart, Amazon, and Paytm. Now, onto the socioeconomic pinnacle of Indian society, India 1. These are people who make more than $12,000 per capita, a lot of money for India. Most Indians in comparison make $2,000 a year. They are fully westernized, digitally literate, and speak English fluently. They hold Western values, and unlike the rest of the country, put convenience over cost. And most importantly, they have high spending power. Most Indian startups target this demographic. Fintechs like Cred and Zerodha, delivery apps like Uber and Dunzo, and streaming services like Netflix and Prime. Now, onto that 0.5% that I talked about earlier. Within India 1, there is India 1 Alpha, a small, hyper-westernized quadrant of the ultra-elite. They eat avocado toast, drink pumpkin spice lattes and caramel macchiatos, and speak English since the day they were born. Examples of brands that target them include elite consumer drink companies selling kombucha, boba and whatnot, and those mentioned in the India 1 stack. Other brands that target them include the one shown on screen right now. But what if I told you there is a community, a stratum, a diaspora that is even more powerful, influential, and they have a much larger economic impact than you may think? That's right, the Indian diaspora. These NRIs, OCIs who work and live abroad contribute more to the Indian economy than this nation's foreign direct investments. That pizza delivery wala bhaiya studying in New Zealand, or that uncle who works in IT in Seattle is a far bigger asset to this country than the money pouring into this country from abroad. The fundamental goal of this video was to use the Blume consumer stacks as sort of a catalyst to discuss India's disparity, economy, and society, and I think I have achieved that goal to a certain degree.
Do not forget to like and subscribe, really helps the channel out. See ya.